It was supposed to be a quiet night. In the small town of Redfield Hollow, nestled deep in the Appalachian Hills, 27-year-old Miles Rayner had just finished his late shift at the auto repair shop. The roads were slick with rain, and the wind whispered through the pines like secrets too heavy to carry. He hated driving at night, especially through the stretch of Route 9, where the road dipped low and the mist rolled in thick as smoke. At exactly 11:47 p.m., Miles swerved to avoid what he thought was a figure standing in the middle of the road. He hit the brakes hard, too hard. The tires screamed. The car fishtailed, slammed sideways into a tree, and everything went dark. When he came to, the front windshield was shattered. His head was bleeding, but what chilled him more than the pain was the silence. Not the usual silence of an accident, but a suffocating kind, like the world itself had stopped breathing. Then he reached for his phone. With shaking fingers, he dialed 911. It rang once. Then a voice answered, but not the voice of a dispatcher. Not the calm, clear tone trained to guide you through the worst moment of your life. No, this voice was wrong. It crackled like broken glass with a whisper behind it, like someone breathing too close to the line. "Hello, Miles." He froze. How did it know his name? "Who is this?" he croaked. "You shouldn't have come this way," the voice replied, flat and unfeeling. "It's already started." His hand went cold. The phone slipped from his ear. He scrambled out of the car, his boots splashing into muddy water. No headlights, no other cars. Just the echo of that voice still crackling from the phone, now lying face up on the passenger seat, glowing faintly in the dark. He turned in slow circles, heart hammering against his ribs. Was this a prank? A glitch? Or something else? A distant sound broke the quiet. Footsteps, but no one was there. And as the fog thickened, swallowing the road behind him, Miles whispered to himself, "This isn't happening." But deep down he knew it was, and it was only the beginning. The fog thickened like a curtain, swallowing the trees, the road, and the world beyond. Miles could feel his pulse pounding in his ears as he stepped further from the wreck, the sound of squelching mud beneath his boots sharp against the hush. His phone still glowed faintly on the passenger seat, that strange voice now silent, as if it had said just enough to paralyze him in fear. But then, it spoke again. "You can still turn back." Miles froze in his tracks. The screen wasn't lit anymore. The phone was off, dead. And yet the voice, it had come from somewhere else. He spun around. Nothing. No headlights. No wind. Just trees, still and heavy like they were listening. A flash of movement, just beyond the tree-line. Miles squinted into the dark. Who's there? Nothing. But then, another sound. Closer, like dragging cloth. Then a soft chime, like wind through broken glass. He backed up toward his car, limping slightly. His jeans were soaked, and blood dripped from a gash on his forehead. The fog clung to his skin, wet and cold like fingers. The night didn't feel empty anymore, felt watched. At exactly 12:03 a.m., Miles flagged down a passing truck. A man named Howard Clay, a local hauling lumber back from a mill, pulled over and helped him into the cab. Miles was pale, shivering, and rambling about a voice on 911 that wasn't real. Howard tried to reassure him. "You hit your head, son. You're in shock." But Miles kept insisting. "The voice knew my name before I said anything. It said it had started." That night, Howard drove him straight to Redfield General Hospital. The doctors checked his vitals. Mild concussion. No major injuries. A few stitches. He was lucky, but something else disturbed the ER staff more. Miles wouldn't let go of the phone, even though it was clearly dead. And every time they tried to take it, he panicked. Meanwhile, back at the site of the crash, police arrived to examine the vehicle. The strange part? No signs of impact on the road. No skid marks. No debris. No reason for him to swerve, except for the only clue Miles gave. "I saw someone standing in the road, but when I got out, they were gone." When officers searched the area, they found footprints. Bare, human, but leading into the trees and never coming back out. And the bigger question, was this a glitch in reality or a planned message? The following morning, Miles sat up in his hospital bed, eyes bloodshot from lack of sleep. He hadn't spoken much through the night. Nurses said he flinched every time the intercom buzzed, every time a phone rang. At 6:47 a.m., a nurse, Alyssa, overheard him whispering, "I didn't imagine it." It said her name, Lena. It kept repeating it, but no one knew Alina, not the dispatcher, not the nurses, not the police, until they pulled the 911 logs. What they found chilled them. There was no record of Miles's 911 call, no timestamp, no audio file, nothing. It was as if the call never happened. But that wasn't the part that made the investigating officer, Detective Raoul Bishop, go pale. Because 6 years earlier, another crash had happened at that same stretch of Forest Road. A girl named Lena Morel, age 22, had called 911 from that exact location after veering off the road and hitting a tree. She had died before paramedics arrived. Her final words on the dispatch recording, "Please, don't let him find me." The call was archived, closed. Cause of death, blunt force trauma. But her case had always raised quiet questions, because no him was ever found. Detective Bishop requested a copy of Lena's final 911 tape. When it played, Miles, now calmer, seated in a small side office, stood up in shock. His hands trembled. "That's the voice. That's the one that answered me. But it's not her talking. It's like she's still inside the call." Bishop blinked. "You're saying Lena picked up your call?" 6 years later. Miles just nodded. As unbelievable as it sounded, something else backed up the timeline. When techs examined Miles's smashed cell phone, they found no recent activity, no outgoing call, no connection to emergency services. But one curious thing, the battery had been fully drained, yet the phone's processor was hot, as if it had been in use for hours. Then came the photograph. An officer from the local patrol team brought in a picture taken from Lena's crash report. It showed her car, smashed against the tree, steam rising. But what caught Bishop's attention wasn't the vehicle. It was a man, standing barely visible through the fog in the background. Unidentified, no record, no reason to be there. His silhouette, nearly identical to the figure Miles described from the night before. If Lena was warning Miles now, then whatever found her might not be done yet. Detective Raoul Bishop stared at the photograph under the dim office light. In the center, Lena Morel's totaled car. To the side, thick fog rolling over wet pavement. And behind it, barely visible in the tree lean, stood a tall man in a hooded coat, face shadowed, feet almost indistinct, like he hadn't left any imprint on the ground. "Is this the figure you saw?" Bishop asked, sliding the photo across the table to Miles. Miles didn't speak. He just nodded, his jaw clenched. Same stance, same build, same presence. It wasn't just recognition, it was fear. They ran the photo through facial recognition software. Nothing. No match in any criminal or public database. But the text noted something strange. The metadata from the original image file, the photo taken back in 2018, had been altered. The timestamp had shifted by 7 minutes. And the coordinates embedded in the photo? They didn't match the location of the crash. "It's like the image moved," said one of the techs. "Photos can't do that. Unless someone or something tampered with it." Meanwhile, Bishop decided to do what every good detective does when the facts don't make sense. He went back to the scene. The forested road had reopened years ago, but a small wooden cross still sat beneath the twisted tree where Lena died. Local kids said the area was haunted. Strange lights, cold air, screaming heard at night. Urban legend, mostly, until now. At the crash site, Bishop saw it for himself. The tree's bark had new carvings, deep gouges that hadn't been documented before. Not weathered, not old, fresh. They formed symbols, not letters, not words, but crude spirals, slashes, and one that looked like an eye bleeding at the edges. He photographed them, sent them to a forensic linguist. Their reply came fast. These resemble sigils used in ancient protection rites or summoning ones. Summoning? Bishop's heart sank. He got back in his cruiser, turned the key. The radio buzzed before the engine turned. He's not finished. You know that, right? It wasn't static. It wasn't interference. It was Lena's voice. Again, the same cadence, same breathy urgency. Who's not finished? Bishop asked, shouting into the radio. Silence. Then a single word crackled through. Watcher. He pulled over, heart hammering. Could Lena still be trying to warn them? And if so, was Miles next? As Bishop races to protect Miles, he begins to uncover a chain of deaths no one ever connected. Until now, Detective Bishop didn't sleep that night. He sat in his living room, lights off, staring at the photograph of the crash site. Not at Lena's crumpled vehicle, but at the blurred figure hidden in the tree limb. He zoomed in again and again. The man's face was still indiscernible, but something else caught his attention now. A reflection in the car window. Faint, but unmistakable. It wasn't the figure. It was a second face, watching from inside the trees. Eyes white, mouth open, no pupils. It hadn't been there before. He checked the image's version history. The reflection had appeared only after the photo was copied to his phone. Is it updating itself? He whispered, ice forming in his spine. The next morning, Bishop visited Lena's old apartment. Her parents had kept it locked all these years, too heartbroken to clear it out. Dust blanketed every surface. A faint smell of lavender still lingered. On the wall above her desk, pinned with care, was a map. Miles of string, color-coded tacks, and scribbled notes. She had been investigating something before her death. Something big. One word kept appearing. Watcher. She'd written it in red ink over and over again, under names of local missing persons. Beneath each, she'd scribbled quotes. He stood by the fence all night. Mom, the man with no eyes is back. She said someone was breathing behind her in the closet. These weren't just missing person cases. They were hauntings, surveillance, stalking. At the bottom of Lena's map, a final question in red marker. What does he want with the survivors? Bishop's phone buzzed. Unknown number. He answered. Nothing. Then breathing. Then, in a hollow whisper, he only follows those who remember her. The line went dead. He checked the call log. No number registered. That evening, Bishop met with Miles again, at a diner on the edge of town. Miles looked worse. Pale, jittery, sleep-deprived. He slid a napkin across the table. It had a drawing. I saw him again last night, right outside my window. The sketch showed a tall figure in a long coat. But this time, it wasn't the face that disturbed Bishop. It was the fingers, long, jointed in the wrong places, like they bent backwards. Inhuman. I blinked, and he was gone, Miles whispered. But I think he left something in my house. Bishop leaned in. What did he leave? Miles slowly lifted his shirt. His ribs were bruised, and there, etched faintly into his skin, were the same sigils carved into the tree by the crash site. How did the same symbols appear on Miles' skin? Is the Watcher trying to mark his next victim? And what truth did Lena uncover? One that got her killed. As the investigation deepens, Bishop realizes this case may cost him more than just his sanity. Detective Bishop couldn't look away from the marks. The sigils on Miles' ribs weren't bruises, they were burns, raised slightly, shaped like twisted spirals and jagged lines that made his skin crawl just looking at them. Miles was trembling now, voice cracking. I didn't do this to myself, Bishop. I swear to you. I woke up and they were just there. The detective photographed them, each symbol clearer than the last. One in particular stood out, etched just below the sternum. It matched the one found under Lena's fingernail from the crash autopsy. She clawed it into herself, or someone else? Bishop thought grimly. Back at the precinct, he pulled out old case files from the past decade. Every unsolved missing person report within a 60-mile radius. And there it was. Same pattern. Each missing person had complained of voices. Shadows. Waking with marks. They were dismissed as mentally unstable, chalked up to psychosis or drug use. But the reports shared a terrifying pattern. He stares through the mirror. I hear him in my dreams. My phone rings, but no one speaks. He knows my name. Each one ended the same way. They vanished. Bishop tried calling the forensic tech who'd helped analyze Lena's wreck. The line didn't go through. He drove to the man's home. Empty. Lights off. Door ajar. Inside, silence. On the floor, a single photo printed in black and white. It showed a still frame from Lena's dashcam. And in the center of the road, standing completely still, was Miles. Bishop's heart skipped. The date stamp was 2 weeks before Lena died. That's not possible. He checked his notes again. Miles had told him he and Lena hadn't spoken in years, that they'd drifted apart. So why was he on the road she died on? And why didn't he mention it? He raced back to his car, shoved the key into the ignition, and his dashboard lit up with a text notification from unknown. You're asking the wrong questions. Then the engine died. Later that night, Bishop sat in his apartment, lights off, blinds drawn. He'd written every connection, pinned every photo, mapped every location. It all came back to the phone call, the one that started it all, the one where the voice wasn't human. He re-listened to the 911 audio, slowed it down. There, between the static and the whisper, was a second voice. Not Lena, not Miles, something else, guttural, low, repeating one sentence over and over. She tried to warn you. Who was Lena trying to warn before her death? Why did Miles lie? And is the watcher a man? Or something far worse? The truth is unraveling, but the more Bishop uncovers, the closer it seems to follow him home. Detective Bishop barely slept. That whisper, she tried to warn you, looped in his mind like a taunt. He'd listened to it 47 times, slowed it down, ran it through voice filters. There was no match in the system, no human vocal signature. His gut told him this wasn't just about a car crash or a boyfriend's secrets. This was something darker, something personal. At sunrise, he stood in front of Lena's old apartment. The complex manager remembered her well, said she kept to herself, always looking over her shoulder like someone was watching her. Inside her unit, dust coated every surface. Her scent was long gone, but Bishop found a metal lockbox under the floorboards. Inside, a burnt SIM card, a necklace with a tiny camera pendant, and a stack of photos. Every photo had been torn in half, but every face still visible was Miles. In one, he was standing on a bridge. In another, walking through a tunnel. And in the final image, only the lower half of his body was visible, standing just outside a church with broken stained glass. On the back of the photo, Lena had written one word, forgive. Bishop drove straight to Miles' house, but the place was empty, ransacked, kitchen drawers open, the TV smashed, a broken mirror in the hallway. On the bathroom wall, written in what looked like ash, was a message. You saw me too. Bishop's phone vibrated. Unknown number. Again, this time a video message. He opened it. It was footage from a security camera, timestamped 2 nights ago. Miles was outside a motel, pacing, terrified. He kept checking his phone, then staring at the shadows behind him. Suddenly, he collapsed, and just before the footage cut to static, a tall, gaunt figure stepped into view. Not running, just standing, still, watching. Bishop's hands shook. He drove to the motel. The clerk said Miles checked in under a fake name, left around 3 a.m. without a word. Inside room 6, Bishop found a crumpled napkin with a message written in red ink. Don't follow. It remembers you. He sat on the motel bed, breathing hard, heart pounding. He wasn't chasing a man anymore. He was chasing something that defied rules, defied logic, and now it had turned its gaze on him. What did Lena see before she died? Why was Miles being hunted? And why did he lie about everything? And what if the truth isn't just being hidden? What if it's waiting? Detective Bishop replayed the motel footage for the 100th time. That figure, it didn't flinch, didn't move like a person. It stood in the background, featureless, barely visible, like it wasn't meant to be seen at all. But Bishop saw it, just like Lena had. Back at the precinct, Bishop requested access to every call placed to 911 from Lena's number in the last 18 months. Most were hang-ups, static, silence, except one. A 37-second call made 2 weeks before she died. The dispatcher marked it as nonverbal distress. When Bishop played the audio, he froze. First, there was heavy breathing, then the sound of distant water dripping, and then a child's voice whispered, "It's behind the mirror." Bishop's spine stiffened. He yanked the file and scanned the metadata. The call had been traced to a derelict warehouse 5 miles outside of town, a place Lena had never lived, never worked. He drove there immediately. The warehouse stood like a carcass of time, rusted, broken, and forgotten. The front door hung off its hinges. Inside, shattered glass crunched under Bishop's boots. The air was cold, unnaturally so. Then he found it. A mirror, 7 feet tall, standing untouched in a corner room. Behind it, a crawl space. And in that space, a mattress, a recording device, a box of children's toys. But the worst part, on the wall behind the mirror, written in faint chalk, "I told you to listen." Back at the precinct, Bishop checked the crawl space contents. The toys were aged decades old. The tape recorder was intact, but the battery had long died. He replaced it. Hit play. Lena's voice filled the room. "If you're hearing this, I'm sorry. Couldn't stop it. It watches through reflections. It follows the ones who see. Miles, he saw it first. Then I did. Now you do. Please don't let it find another." Bishop's hands trembled. Lena hadn't been delusional. She'd been documenting something real to her. And now everything pointed to one terrifying truth. She knew she was going to die. Back in his apartment, Bishop caught his reflection in the dark TV screen. For a split second, he swore the figure behind him moved. Was this all psychological breakdown, or a force hiding in plain sight? Why did Lena say it follows those who see it? And more importantly, who else was already being watched? Detective Bishop couldn't sleep. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw it. The chalk writing, the mirror, Lena's voice repeating, "Now you do." And the recording, God, that recording. It wouldn't stop echoing in his head. He replayed it one last time, this time with noise isolation software. What he heard chilled him to the marrow. At exactly 17.3 seconds in, layered beneath Lena's whisper, was another voice. Distorted. Male. "You weren't supposed to hear that." He paused the file, rewound, played again. Same voice, same sinister sentence. And then, a low chuckle. He brought the audio to the FBI's Behavioral Analysis Unit. But after one listen, the agent pushed back from the desk. "I don't want this," the man said. Sliding Bishop's flash drive back with trembling fingers. "Delete it. Burn it. Pretend you never heard it." "But it's a voice," Bishop argued. The agent shook his head. "No, it's not." That night, Bishop returned home shaken. He locked every door, covered every reflective surface, mirrors, windows, even the TV screen. And then, just before midnight, his phone rang. Unknown caller. He let it go to voicemail. The message, 5 seconds of silence. Then Lena's voice, "Miles is still here." He rushed to the address linked to Lena's childhood, an abandoned family property long since condemned. What he found was unspeakable. In the overgrown backyard, buried beneath a shattered playhouse, was a tiny, mud-covered shoe child-sized. And carved into the rotting wood beam, "I can still see you." Bishop fell back, breath catching in his throat. This wasn't just about Lena. It never had been. He returned to his car to call it in, but his phone screen was black. Not cracked, not dead, just black. And in its glassy reflection, a face appeared over his shoulder, eyes hollow, mouth grinning, gone in a blink. He spun around. Nothing. But now he knew. It was following him. Who was Miles? Was Lena's son ever real, or just another part of the entity's game? And why was Bishop the next target? The truth was unraveling fast, but the end was closing in faster. The next morning, Detective Bishop wasn't answering his radio. His fellow officers traced his GPS to the condemned house, the same place where Lena's child's shoe was found. His cruiser sat idling in the front yard, driver's door open, radio hissing. But Bishop was gone. Inside, everything was still, but cold. Not physically, but emotionally. Like the house itself had exhaled whatever warmth remained after Lena's life was taken. On the living room wall, written in black soot across faded wallpaper, "Now you know." A search team was dispatched immediately. They combed the surrounding woods, ponds, and fields for hours, until just before sunset, a cadaver dog signaled. In the crawl space beneath the house, they found Bishop's flashlight, still on. No blood, no body, just his phone, lying face up. When investigators played the last recorded message, the room fell silent. It was Bishop's voice, shaking, terrified. "It's not done. Miles wasn't the only one. There's more. You need to." And then a sudden shriek, cut off mid-breath. Silence. The final FBI report concluded no foul play, just a missing persons case. But his partner, Detective Reyna, wasn't convinced. She knew Bishop. He wouldn't just walk away, especially not from this. She took one last look at his case board, now stored away in an evidence locker. There was one sticky note stuck dead center. He called 911, but no one was supposed to answer. And in tiny handwriting below it, the voice, it wasn't human. Months passed. Reyna never stopped digging. She isolated the audio file again, slowed it down. What she found was impossible. The voice wasn't speaking to Bishop. It was speaking through him. A digital spectrogram of the voice revealed images encoded in the sound. One of those images, a photograph of Reyna, taken from inside her home, at night, while she was asleep. She bolted upright from her desk, staring at the screen. Suddenly, her phone buzzed. Unknown number. One message. "Now you do." Reyna slowly turned toward the mirror on her office wall. Her reflection was smiling back, but she wasn't. Whatever Lena uncovered that night didn't end with her. Passed on. Moved like smoke, silent, invasive, hungry. And now it had a new voice, a new mirror, a new name. If you want more emotionally gripping, chilling true crime content, subscribe to The Veil of Secret. And remember, not every voice on the line wants to be